All right, people, just another little tech tip for people that, well, I suppose, not really if you have, but if you're ever going to replace your injectors again, or you're thinking about that, or you're thinking about taking it to someone, you really need to gather the information to make sure that it gets done right. So whether you're doing it yourself or taking it to someone, whatever, but one of the really important things, what we notice with a number of vehicles, including this one, is someone's been in there before and they didn't get the job right. Now, what I mean is the injector alignment. When we undid the nuts, okay, the pipes here, the usual thing, we call it a jack-in-the-box, the pipes here were bent up. There was a lot of upward pressure. Now, a couple of things. You don't always, I just want to show you, there's a few things I want to point out. See the pipe, how it's not central in the middle of the hole there? Don't worry about that. You get that, you know, hold it as straight as you can, but the pipe is shaped to whatever it's shaped, okay? And it's going to sit in the middle. It locates in the injector, right? We install all these clamps and everything, but sometimes when you're tightening up that nut there, it does twist the pipe a little bit and it may pull it one side or the other. The key part that you don't want to have a problem with is the injector alignment itself. So the alignment of the injectors, where they sit in under the valve cover. You can imagine the tolerance. It only needs to be a little bit out. What needs to be perfect? See that rubber seal there? See this rubber seal here? These nuts, they're a really quite tight fit in there, right? They actually almost touch on each side. So if you're 1 millimeter out, it can cause a little bit of drama. 2 millimeters, a little bit more dramas, and it gets worse from there. So where we pulled this one apart, and you can see before where they bent the pipes out of them off, you can see the little scratch marks down here on the valve cover. We've demonstrated in other videos, this is not about the bent pipes, right? So some of the pipes will stay central in the nut, some of them won't. Don't be concerned, don't worry about that. Usually they stay central or close to it. Quite often they do this kind of like, yeah, you know, they just sort of get twisted up and pulled. But look, with new pipes and the correct torque setting, which is, you know, the 32, 35 Newton meter thing, more details in other videos, but see how central. When we pulled this apart, it wasn't like this. So the pipes were bent, they sprung up. They were quite hard to undo these nuts because the nut of the pipe is pressing sideways really hard on these seals, right? So if you've put the vehicle together and you find that problem, you're trying to do these up and they're really tight, you can put a little bit of lubricant on the outside of the nut, like the molly coat sort of thing. But it's best to avoid that if you can, and that's why we've got all these other videos. Now, you got to look at it on the right angle to see what I'm talking about, but you can see the alignment. Well, can you see it on that one? Right, anyway, all these nuts went on well. You could see the rear two, it's kind of more the angle you're looking at it because I can't get in there, but the rear two, they're a little bit, the injectors are a little bit rear, on the rear side of the seal, so they're probably like 1 millimeter that way, right? But the nuts all went on no problem without any resistance. So if you get that situation, that's ideal. If you've got a situation where they're really pushing hard against one side, there's a possibility you're going to have a leak, a bit of a sweat or a leak or something like that there, you know what I mean? So, and also it can be difficult to get them on. Now, so what you've got to do when you disassemble, you've got to take note of, okay, you see your pipes are probably going to have been bent, so you're taking those off and getting rid of them, replacing those. But you've got to also take note of how hard to undo this nut. And I don't mean cracking it loose. Use the crow's foot, the 1/2 inch drive, decent size, bit of leverage, and you'll get these undone no problem usually. Now, we've done a lot of them, never had a problem, but we still hear these crazy stories from people that couldn't get them undone and they cut the pipe off here and put a socket on and all that. That's fine if that's what you got to do. Never personally experienced that myself. I've even had nuts rounded off where people have slipped and we sort of just fold it back to, you know, fold it so we can get our crow's foot on there and we can get those nuts off. So number of different variable, you know, different bits of information there. But the main thing is, take note when you're removing, disassembling, right, how tight that is. And don't just think you can automatically fix the alignment, because what happens, this is what happens, guys, I'll just go through it quickly. When someone clamps the injectors down, when they think they visually align those injectors and they put the injector clamps on, that's under the valve cover, big job. Then they go and install the fuel return line afterwards. It can be a bit difficult to fit, but they'll give it a wiggle and a bend and make it happen, and they'll tighten it up, and a lot of times it'll probably be okay. Not always. It'll probably usually be okay, but not always, because we've heard of a lot of other people having problems, of course, at other workshops where they've had internal leaks and stuff like that, which it's all related as well. You know, you can avoid all these problems by watching, you know, the full-length videos we got in the VIP group, but that's another story. So, look, when you put that return line on, when the injectors aren't aligned correctly, what happens is you'll clamp it down and it sort of bends a little bit and it's under a little bit of load, but over time, because of the heat of the engine, that fuel return line, which is under the valve cover here, goes on the back of the injectors, it reshapes and sort of remolds itself to the shape of the alignment of the injectors. So when you redo the job, you can't just use that to realign the injectors. You've got to do that. You can use it, and then you've got to do that. We've got a tech tip video, and we've explained it in a number of videos before. You know, injector alignment and how to double check that the injector alignment is right. And bada bing. I note on this vehicle that's what we did, and I note that 1 and 2 were perfect, which is good. When it was disassembled, even number 1 was out. Now number 3 and 4, we twisted the injector to the maximum we could without replacing the return line, okay? And where it got us to was, it's fine. The nuts went on at number 3 and 4, no problem. They're the 2 at the back there. But I just note that they're about 1 millimetre to the back, which is fine. But if you find the situation where you're trying to get those nuts started and whatever, and when you've pulled it apart. So when you pull it apart, if you've got a really bad situation, and sometimes you'll find some people, what they do is they actually cut these rubbers. They'll take them out again and they cut a section out of the side of them because the pipe alignment's so bad. And the problem with that is, A, you shouldn't need to do that, but then you also end up with leaks, you know, at the other, because there's not enough rubber there, there's not enough pressure. So if you've got to cut rubber out, say, on over this side at 3 o'clock, then there's not going to be enough pressure between the nut and the rubber at 9 o'clock here to make the seal and keep the seal for the next 10 years. So it's really important to take note when you disassemble what the alignment's like and to take the care to get it right. So the biggest tip I can give you, like I always do, is watch our videos in the VIP group. You're going to miss a whole lot of other pitfalls by getting that injector kit from us, making sure you've got all the right parts, the right procedures, getting in the VIP, watching those videos and learning how to avoid all these problems, which, to be quite honest, a lot of workshops don't know about. They don't take the time or care to know or specialise in these. And of course, when you do general works on a vehicle that really it's a specialist area where you've got to take the care to avoid these problems, that's where you can end up having issues. You get it back together and you can't get these nuts on, and then you're mucking around, wasting time, pulling the seals out. And you know, anyway, I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. You know, we don't want to waffle on too much, do we? All important information though, I'm sure most people got it. If you don't like the waffling, all you've got to do is not watch, guys. See you later. Now we've got a little checklist here that we use, right? It's a A4 sheet, and we've just got it on a piece of timber here. We're just going to quickly show you those step by step. I might not go through them all, but let's see if this works. Right, here we go. Right, a bit of a checklist. It was more put together for you guys, but we've got one here in the workshop so that we can use it anyway. Are the ports clean? This is basically for reassembly, you know, checklist. Are the ports clean? Did all the 4 seats come out? Were the injectors aligned correctly? Are parts like the valve cover clean and dry inspected for cracks? Did you know, look, I'm not going to read it all to you. You can read. Let's go through them all. You can pause if need be. This is not everything, guys. Again, just because you've seen this, don't think that you know everything because you've seen a little 10-minute video. But look, if you want more information, you know, the best thing to do is to subscribe, turn the bell on, make sure you're, you know, please give me the thumbs up if you get something out of it. And in the comments, I'm open to some feedback. Doesn't mean you're going to get a reply there. And bada boom, bada bing. The only other thing I'll say is watch a couple of videos a day. We try and keep it to sort of 1 or 2 videos a day, usually 1, sometimes 2. On the weekend, there might be a few more. It's not too many hours of time. It's only 10 minutes of your life per day to learn and keep yourself in the loop. Education about your engine, your vehicle, your second biggest investment. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Appreciate your support. Hope you're all doing well. Bada bing, bada boom, okay?